Hey everybody, it's Tactard Ted. It is the afternoon of Monday, the 10th of October. Hope everybody's doing well. Now, I did come to you folks this morning and I was talking a little bit about how the Russian military was on a tear. They were killing people and breaking shit. And honestly, folks, I didn't realize just how badly they were fucking shit up. But this afternoon, I seem to have a better picture, and I expect that the roll will keep on going. A few of the things that have been going on that we can talk about is that in some cities, the electricity is off. The thermal power plants are off. Heating centers, in other words, where they do hot water, have been targeted. Lots and lots and lots of critical infrastructure. And they've also started striking decision-making centers. Yes. The offices of the SBU, which is their version of the KGB, they were targeted. A couple of their senior officials are now at room temperature or in little chunks to be put into hefty bags and tossed into a landfill. The Russians are really tearing it up. Now, taking a cue from Salty Cracker, one of my favorite commentators, a lot of you folks who sat out there and you were clapping and you were, oh, look, Putin's embarrassed. Look, it's so great. You guys cheered on a terrorist attack. You guys cheered on a terrorist attack. And that's not the first terrorist attack, by the way. The bridge was not the first. You also cheered on Daria Dugina, who was blown up in front of her father for no particular reason other than the Ukrainian terrorists figured that was a soft target. They could go after that because they really haven't had a tremendous amount of luck on the battlefield. Now, sure, I realize that the Western media is propping them up as hard as they can, and they're making huge deals out of just incremental gains. But honestly, folks, you guys are to thank for what's going on in Ukraine today. You are. People like lard-ass Lieutenant Colonel, ex-Lieutenant Colonel, because he was a traitor and a piece of filth, Vindman. Yes, great American hero. Whistleblower about something he didn't actually see. Because he is more loyal to Ukraine than he is to his own country and his own president. This guy's tweeting out, oh, I've been waiting for this so long, the other day when the bridge was attacked in the ill-fated failure of a terrorist attack. And, it's that nonsense. It's the nonsense of giving all these Ukrainian weapons and saying, we got your back, when we really don't have their back, and they're going out and they're getting killed because we really just don't give a shit. You guys with the Ukrainian flags on your profiles, you guys actually care more than the politicians who've sold these folks out. But don't be fooled. You're responsible. You have the blood on your hands, not theirs. And you keep pushing these guys onwards. Now, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, you were a military man. Yes, you were a military man. You set your fat ass right in that Pentagon and you made decisions and you helped wake our military into the great woke structure that we have today. You and General Miley. Well, General Miley still got a job. You don't. You're no longer in uniform. So I got a little idea. You love Ukraine. You do. You love Ukraine. You've shouted, take your ass over there, reap some of the benefit. In fact, I think every last one of you folks who've been Ukrainian fanboys from the get-go, talking about how you have Ukrainians back, well, talk is cheap. Talk is absolutely cheap. Take your ass over. You can get a plane over fairly cheap. Cross the border from Poland into Ukraine, they will take you, give you 10 rounds of ammunition, and send you to face the beast. And I ain't got one bit of sympathy for you, because that's what you've been condemning younger Ukrainian kids to. They go to high schools now and pick them up. They were going to swimming pools and picking them up. They were going any place they thought kids were going to be. They were picking them up. They were putting them in uniforms and giving them 10, 15 rounds and sending them on to die. Why? Because you guys, for some reason, have this giant erection for Vladimir Putin and Russia. A country I would venture to say most of you have never been to. In fact, most of you have never been outside of your comfort zone. But you like to sit there. You know the world because you've seen it on National Geographic or on MSNBC or Fox. It's all the same. And people that think that Fox is any different than MSNBC, you really guys, it's turd with sprinkles on it. You put a few conservative sprinkles on it and try to pass it off as something wonderful. It's not. It's the same news with the same watchwords, with the same way to turn people off or onto a story by use of language. It's 110% the situation. And a lot of you are falling for it. Now, there are a few voices on Fox and other that aren't the norm. You have people who actually can think for themselves. One of them is a guy named Tucker Carlson off of Fox, who I actually enjoy because he thinks he's insightful and he doesn't feel a pressure to say what you want him to say. He says what he believes, and I respect that. I absolutely do. What I don't respect is I don't respect somebody who's wearing a uniform who goes out of their way to subvert the chain of command. Not because of anything real, but because of petty political shit that they got going on. And yes, I realize I'm a little naive about that. I believe all this fucking bullshit about honor and integrity. Those are more than just words. And if you don't have honor, you don't have integrity, and you lie on the little shit, then you'll screw up the big shit. And that's a big problem. We seem to have totally gotten away from that. The military in this country right now is way too much a political arm of the Democrat Party, the Democrats in Congress, and we have way too many guys who came out of West Point who have no allegiance to anything but their own career. Their own career. They don't have an allegiance to the troops they lead. They don't have an allegiance to the military or even this country. Vindman's a perfect example. Vindman will throw this country under the bus in a heartbeat in order to save his wonderful Ukraine that his fat ass don't want to get over and fight for. 110%. 110%. He's willing for you to send your money. He's willing to send special operations troops. He's willing to bankrupt us to support Ukraine. You know, he's talking about how great it is that we're sending money to Ukraine. How about Florida? How about those guys? Those guys actually paid taxes. Oh no, they can't have any of their money back. No. Must send it to Zelensky because the big guy has to get his cut. And any of you folks that think that you're going to see any of that money back, you're not. And you're not going to see a grateful Ukraine because there's not going to be a Ukraine. Not one that you're going to recognize. Not one that you're going to recognize. And to be honest, Europe's going to be better for it. It's amazing to go and watch all these people showing video of these Ukrainian refugees behaving badly. Being drunk, wanting to get into fights, stabbing people over bus fare, that sort of shit. You know, it's really great. A lot of these places are waking up. A lot of these places are waking up. You're not waking up because you're not allowed to see it because our news is so corrupt. They will only put out what they want you to know. Do you know that there's a video of executions in Kupiansk? People shooting people in the head and letting them roll down into a pit. And they're filming it. Filmed it. Put it out there. These are Ukrainians, Azov guys, who are executing Ukrainian civilians. There are no charges. There are no trial. Yeah, we think we don't like you. And they take them to the top of the hill, shoot them in the head, and they roll down into a pit. The video's out there. Can't post it anywhere because that's a violation. You will end up in trouble. You will be thrown off whatever platform you're on. And trust me, a lot of guys who I hang out with will tell you within the last 2 weeks, places like Facebook and Twitter are panicking. They do what they do every time there's about to be a big story break or a big reversal. necro enforcing. They're going back 2, 3, 4 months, finding stuff that they can ban you for, and then throwing people off the platform for 30 days. You know, it's always amazing. This shit always happens right before an election. Think about it. Think about how many of you guys have seen a ban the end of October going into the elections. It's like clockwork. They start panicking. They got to throw people off because they don't want certain voices out there that are going to interrupt the flow of disinformation, the disinformation that Facebook wants out there. They don't want anybody going out and saying, hey, how about those Democrats? They've sent $80 billion to Ukraine. For what? For what? Hey, look at this representative's voting record. They voted to send tons of money to Ukraine. They haven't voted for 2 damn cents to Florida. Don't you think that kind of needs to be something that needs to be out there? But no, hey, Facebook and the FBI are going to run interference for these folks. And it's just not Democrats. There are certain rhinos that are vulnerable, or who have been vulnerable, and they went during the primaries and propped some of these folks up. And they're doing all they can to prop up the Democrats. Yes, we got to end. And let me tell you what, if you have any Democrats out there like Tulsi Gabbard, they're gonna prop up whatever Republican rhino piece of filth is running against her. They just will. Or against that person. Because that's what Facebook, the media, and all these folks are into. And they give a platform and a voice for these idiots like Colonel Vim and like that freak Stephen King that loves to write about kids having orgies and shit in his book It. You know, demented, real interesting people. Hey, look, if you like Stephen King books, that's on you, dude. I like a lot of weird. I have favorite authors that people don't dig. Harry Turtledove is a guy I read. He has interesting alternate histories and weird stuff that I dig as far as science fiction goes. But here we are, folks. So, all you folks that were jumping with glee overnight, Friday into Saturday morning, and you just were so astounded and happy, and you had to take that Putin, happy birthday, all that shit. Well, dude, you talked those people into doing stupid shit. Now they're winning stupid prizes. And that's really it. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And it's going to be interesting in the next couple days to see whether this new Ukrainian theater commander of the Russian army, whether he is going to continue pressing the offensives, pressing the attack on all these cities, or whether he's going to back off and go back to status quo. I hope it's not the latter. I hope he goes ahead and puts the pressure on and goes ahead and cracks this nut. Right now, the cities are being weakened. You know, it's interesting. All these people in the cities who ran their mouths and pushed this on, they haven't seen war. That's what's so incredible to me, is this hasn't been a war like we've seen. This hasn't been a war like we've conducted. Russia has went out of its way. You know, we talk a lot of shit about collateral damage. Russia didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk. And they avoided collateral damage. Those days are over. They are now taking down infrastructure. They are now hitting some of these places in the cities that need to be hit, the decision-making areas, the power plants, all these other neat things. But you notice what? With all the power plants they've taken out, none of them have been nuclear power plants. None of them have been nuclear power plants. Now, the nuclear power plants that are out there, I'm sure that probably they're going to start working on the transmission lines from those any day. And you know it's having an effect when Ukraine was trying to, we're coming to save the day in Europe, when they said they were going to start selling electricity to Europe, to the EU, to ease a shortfall of electrical energy. And now they've had to back off of that because guess what? Russia shut the lights off. And I love some of these Ukrainians, man. There's one Ukrainian woman, she's doing a selfie, self video, and she's got the camera up to her face, and there are explosions. There are like cruise missiles going off very close to her, and she won't put the phone down. No, no, no. She's got to keep that phone up and record everything for her with the explosions going off behind her. Some of you folks are nuts. I'll tell you what, you go dropping artillery or shit near me, hey, I'm putting the phone down and I'm going to find me a hole to crawl in, because standing above ground talking on your phone is probably not the one thing that you want to do to preserve your life. So anyhow, I've ranted on and on and on. I've ranted on about the media. I've ranted on about the Ukrainian fanboys. And I've kind of have to wink and nod that finally Russia is engaging in a war. That they're not playing the games like they used to. It's amazing to me, a lot of the sentiment coming out of Russia from some of the military commentators has been, this is what they should have done when they went into Ukraine in the first place. This is how they should have acted. Now, hindsight's 2020, and I don't care who you are, you're never going to win the United States. Putin's not. The media is too much against him. Look, when you can put President Potato Head in office and keep him in power the way the media has done and the way the government has done, you're never going to be able to breach them with the truth. But the restraint that Russia has shown is not wasted, because there are individuals seeing it. There are individuals in certain governments that are seeing it. And there are a lot of countries who stayed neutral through all this are seeing it, and they're starting to realize what shit is. And while there was a, how would you put this, publicity stunt with the terrorist attack on the Kerch Bridge, just about everywhere outside of the Western EU, NATO controlled bullshit are giving a nod and a wink to Russia today. Well done. Carry on. They want, Ukrainians want to fuck around and engage in terrorism. Take them out. Take them out. And possibly if Putin had went in with overbearing force from day one, maybe he wouldn't have had as much public opinion on his side. But I will tell you after this, once the EU, the US and NATO learned their lesson about applying sanctions to people, we're going to see a bipolar, triple polar, quadpolar world. We're not going to see a unipolar world anymore. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because when it's unipolar, somebody gets too big for their britches and thinks that they have all the say, and they just run over everybody else. And that's where we're at. All right, folks, I need to get done wasting too much of your time. Y'all take care, and hopefully things will be either a little calmer tomorrow, or I'll be back at you. All right, guys, bye.